I never imagined I'd become a podcaster. In fact, I used to believe podcasts were only for radio professionals or tech enthusiasts with expensive microphones. My world was quiet. Just a laptop, a small apartment, and endless thoughts that rarely found an audience. But sometimes, life nudges you toward something you didn't even know you needed. It all started one rainy evening. The city outside my window was wrapped in mist, and I was scrolling aimlessly through an app when I stumbled upon a podcast about finding your purpose. The host's voice was calm yet powerful, each word painting emotions I didn't know how to describe. For 30 minutes I sat still, no distractions, no scrolling, just listening. That experience changed something inside me. The idea of speaking to others through sound felt strangely intimate. Unlike social media, it wasn't about likes or filters, it was about honesty. I began to wonder, what if I tried this? Of course, doubts crept in. Who would listen? What would I even talk about? But a small spark of curiosity kept whispering, just start. So I did. I borrowed a friend's old microphone, downloaded free editing software, and decided to record one short episode, not for fame, not for followers, but for myself. That night, I sat in my kitchen, whispered, testing, 1, 2, 3, and told the story of a day I almost gave up on my dreams. My voice trembled. My breathing was uneven, but it was real. When I hit the upload button, I felt both fear and relief. The next morning, I woke up to a message from a stranger. I listened to your episode. It felt like you were talking to me. That was the moment I realized podcasting wasn't about perfection. It was about connection. The early days were awkward. I spoke too fast, forgot to breathe, and sometimes laughed at my own jokes in silence. But with each episode, I discovered a rhythm, not just in my speech, but in my thoughts. Podcasting became therapy, confession, and friendship all at once. I started sharing personal stories about failure, change, loneliness, and hope. To my surprise, people listened. They sent messages saying my words kept them company during long commutes or sleepless nights. I wasn't a celebrity or an expert. I was simply human, and that authenticity built a quiet but loyal community. To improve, I studied the craft, learning how to use pauses for emotion, how to edit out background noise, how to write scripts that sounded like conversation. I realized that podcasting isn't just about talking. It's about listening. Listening to your guests, to your audience, and most importantly, to yourself. Then came my first interview. I invited a friend who had started a small business after losing her job. We talked about resilience, failure, and rediscovering purpose. When the episode ended, I felt something shift. This wasn't just storytelling anymore. It was story sharing. I wasn't speaking alone. I was building bridges of understanding, one episode at a time. There were challenges, of course. Episodes failed to upload, guests canceled last minute, and sometimes I wondered if it was worth it. But every time I thought about quitting, Someone would send a message like, "Your podcast helped me through a hard day." That was enough to keep going. Each recording became a heartbeat in my week, a reminder that stories, no matter how small, have the power to heal. A year later, I looked back and barely recognized the person who had whispered nervously into that old microphone. My voice had grown stronger, but more importantly, my confidence had deepened. I learned that when you share your truth, you give others permission to do the same. My podcast began reaching listeners in other countries. Teachers used my episodes for English listening practice. Students wrote essays inspired by my stories. It was humbling to think that something I created in my kitchen could travel across oceans. But the greatest change happened inside me. I realized podcasting wasn't just a hobby. It was a mirror reflecting who I was becoming. It taught me patience, empathy, and discipline. It forced me to slow down, to articulate my feelings, and to understand that vulnerability isn't weakness. It's courage recorded in sound. Today, when I sit in front of the microphone, I no longer chase perfection. I focus on presence, on speaking from the heart. Whether I'm recording for 10 people or 10,000, I know someone out there might need that one sentence to feel less alone. Podcasting gave me a community I never expected, a voice I never knew I had, and a purpose that continues to grow. And as I look to the future, planning new topics, collaborating with other creators, and dreaming bigger, I smile at how it all began. A single moment of curiosity on a rainy evening. Life has a way of surprising us. Sometimes the path you never planned becomes the one that defines you. And for me, that path began the moment I pressed record.